Hello, Patreon supporters. Welcome back to the show where we wanted to discuss another news topic. This one broke just this morning, actually, and it's pretty tough, pretty distressing.
Dark.
Well, actually, it's dark, but justice has been served, but also it's like, oh, wow. I'm going to actually talk about
Yeah, say what it is. Yeah.
So this is regarding the death of Nusrat Jahan Rafi, who was killed in April this year. She was murdered by 16 people who were involved in her murder. And today, news broke that all 16 people have been sentenced to death. So pretty harsh judgment.
Where is this?
This is in Bangladesh.
Right.
This took place. So, yeah, basically, she was 19 and took place in the town of Feni, which is a small town 160 kilometers outside of the capital of Bangladesh, Dhaka.
She was burned to death.
She was burned to death, and basically her headmaster, who was called Siraj Ud-Doula, had allegedly sexually assaulted her, and she brought that to the police after taking advice from her parents. And he was arrested, but this whole story, basically, some of her classmates tried to convince her to withdraw her complaint. Some high up people in the local government even got involved.
Wow.
Police were accused of helping spread the rumor that she committed suicide. And it just kind of speaks volumes to this whole case. Originally kind of brought attention to the fact that in Bangladesh, at least, a lot of this goes on unnoticed. You know, people are sexually harassed in the workplace and at school, but it goes unreported, and when it is reported, it's kind of like not taken seriously and that kind of thing.
A couple of years ago there were some very high profile cases in India, weren't there, of women who were murdered for trying to bring rape charges against rapists, and just a general kind of systemic attitude in the police of dismissing women who claim that they've been raped, saying, oh, you can't have been raped, which is just a ridiculous attitude to have.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is happening in Bangladesh as well, which obviously neighbours India. So clearly there's a problem in that part of the world.
Yeah. But her death did spark like protests, months-long of protests and kind of increasing awareness. And the Prime Minister of Bangladesh said, like, promised the family that she wouldn't let, those that did this get away with it, basically.
And this he's lived up to that promise. Death sentence for all of them.
Yeah, I mean, and the trial was one of the quickest in history for this kind of case.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah, normally this kind of case would take years to conclude.
You don't want to get it wrong.
I mean, it's like 16 people, essentially.
Yeah, that's true.
And the prosecutor told reporters it proved that nobody will get away with murder in Bangladesh.
They're definitely setting an example, aren't they, with this?
Yeah,
Sentencing them all blanket, all to death.
Yeah.
Because, of course, as you'd imagine, if someone was burnt, there'd be people, of course, everyone who was at all involved in this should be treated incredibly severely. But there'll be people whose actions within this will differ from one another, right?
Yeah, that's
You'd
true.
expect you'd be like someone who actually, lit the match or poured the gas over,
People who egged them on, people who instigated the whole thing, which sounds like it was the headmaster who assaulted
them. So he's been killed? He's
been sentenced to death. It doesn't break down specifically like who was accused, but there's 3 teachers, including the headmaster.
Wow.
Yeah. And then some of the classmates as well, I think, were convicted.
Really?
Well, they were the ones who actually poured the gasoline on her and set fire to her.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Are they all male? Does it say that? Or is there a mixture?
I don't think there is. I mean, it doesn't say, but I don't think so. So it says some of her classmates urged her to withdraw the complaint. It doesn't say. 2 of the defendants were local leaders of the ruling party, the Awami League Party.
Mad.
And then it just this whole investigation uncovered this conspiracy where local police were found to have collaborated with the convicted in spreading false information around her death, saying that she'd committed suicide. However, the officers were not among those tried for the murder.
I guess they're not.
Which is interesting.
They're not convicted of murder. They were convicted of
aiding and abetting or whatever. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. That's mad. That's crazy. I can't believe that happened. That they thought they could get away with it, but obviously they could, because if there's local government officials and police involved, then But I mean, headmaster of a school as well. I mean, it sounds like it's a relatively small town, but over here, headmasters, I hope, don't have any kind of delusions of grandeur and authority. You're just a schoolmaster.
I'm sure they do, but it doesn't go this far, right?
But to think you could get away with murder, that's incredible.
Yeah.
As if that wouldn't come back to you.
Yeah. It suggests he was absolutely guilty of the sexual assault as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Why would you murder someone who's accusing you if you've got nothing to hide?
Yeah. And apparently he was the one who ordered the murder to take place. And the way that it happened was she was lured to her school's rooftop in April this year, just 11 days after she reported the headmaster to police for repeatedly touching her inappropriately. And she was surrounded by 4 or 5 people wearing burqas, pressuring her to withdraw the complaint. And when she refused, they set fire to her.
Wearing burqas?
Wearing burqas.
That's right. That suggests that they're women, right?
It would suggest that, but it doesn't say.
Handy way to hide your face, though, isn't it?
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But
they tried to make it look like a suicide, but she escaped, apparently. Right. And she actually lived for the next 4 days. Oh. And I think part of the reason why she was caught is because she gave a statement to her brother, which he filmed on his phone. Right. And she said, "The teacher touched me. I will fight this crime till my last breath." Yeah. And then she named some of the attackers, which I'm guessing is how they got caught in the end. It's just a horrible story. But this did shine a spotlight on the vulnerability of victims of sexual assault and harassment in the country.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah. And the Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, publicly pledged that none of the culprits will be spared from legal action. So she took like a personal interest in this case.
Do you think it will go through? Do you think they'll kill all of them?
The defendant's lawyers have said that they're going to appeal the ruling.
Of course.
So I don't know when this is carried out. There in Bangladesh, the death sentence is a hanging, but I'm not sure when it's going to be carried out. But also, it was kind of weird seeing this story, like just seeing on the Twitter feed. Mm-hmm. People's reactions were generally like, "Yeah, justice served. Yeah, totally." And I don't know. 16 is people, like you said, is a lot of people who may have been involved in some way, but like the death penalty, I'm not sure how I feel about it.
In general,
will all of these people be justly deserving of that as others? I feel like I'm defending them. I'm not.
No, like Martin just said, some people will be more guilty than others. They'll be the ones who, I mean, everyone was guilty of something, clearly. Yeah. They plan to make it look like a suicide, which is premeditated, is terrifying. But there'll be some who perhaps were caught up with it, following charismatic individuals, as opposed to actually instigating, developing the plan, ordering the murder, and actually going through with it. Somebody, like Martin said, lit the match. But then that raises the good point of, like, war crimes, for example. Throughout history, lots of people have been put on trial for war crimes when they haven't actually pulled the trigger themselves, but they've been there.
Yeah,
and you think,
they were just following orders.
Yeah, exactly. So they received the same sentence, and you think, well, I think maybe that's justified. Because they're equally guilty, because they could have stopped it or they could have protested.
Or in the case of the Nazis, no sentences.
Yeah.
It seemed. What I hope is that this is quite an extreme response. I think most people would agree, but then it's an extreme act. What I hope is that this isn't just used to be an example without them kind of following through on, not necessarily killing everyone who commits a severe crime, but so that they follow through in terms of that this now sets a precedent for legal action against people that commit such horrendous crimes, as opposed to just being like, right, we're done with that. See, Bangladesh is doing something about it, and then they're not really being much of a follow-up.
This really famous case that everybody's paying attention to, we'll deal with that, and then any future cases we just let go back to normal. That'd be a shame if that happens.
Really, there needs to be kind of like reform at from all levels to make sure that this kind of thing isn't just swept under the rug, or there's no conspiracies in the future.
To me, it seems mad. Like, 3 or 4 teachers.
Yeah, three
teachers at a school,
including.
Imagine if that happened in the UK.
Yeah,
they burnt someone. They burnt a student.
It's absolutely insane,
and that wouldn't happen. It's obviously more to do with. I mean, it's not an honor killing, but it's more to do with the honor of the teacher.
Yeah,
and the people will want to defend the honor of the teacher above anything else, or feel they need to.
Okay,
which you don't necessarily get in the UK, do you?
How does this culture exist where people think that an appropriate response to being accused of crimes, which looks like you did commit, is to murder that person?
Oh, that's mad.
Yeah. But like you say, on this great scale, where there's 16 people involved, it's not just you personally plotting their murder.
Conspiracy cover-up.
It's a big social group, like almost a community.
And when there's that many people, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
If it was just the headmaster poisoning her, it'd be like, oh, who did it? 16 people.
Was it you, or was it you who pointed out ages ago, I think it was on the podcast, that there's this rule of thumb, like 4 people can keep a secret or 3 people can keep a secret, and as soon as you get to 4 or 5, secrets can't be kept. There's like a scientific thing of like above a certain number of people, and it's only 3 or 4, you can't keep a secret.
Well, it's on Game of Thrones. It's a Game of Thrones quote. It's like,
is it?
He says, if 3 people know something, it's a secret, or if 4 people know it, then it's information, or something like that. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't. Yeah, it wasn't me saying that, but I like it. I think it's probably quite true.
Yeah, when you've got 16 people involved,
it's definitely not going to stay.
Someone's going to talk.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes. Oh man. Well, the tragic thing as well. I can't imagine what her family is going through.
Yeah, they welcomed the ruling, but I mean, it doesn't bring her back. It's not like
no.
Yeah, of course.
I think they said that they appreciated the Prime Minister getting involved in the case in the way that she did. I think she's kind of been on top of it in that regard. But I mean, what do you guys think? Is this ruling fair, do you think? Do you think this is justice done, or is it a bit too extreme? Like, again, I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. It's good to see the issue taken seriously, but then, like you said, Martin, are they taking the issue seriously, or is it just this case in particular because it's got international attention? Not sure what the question was there. There was several, but let us know what you think about this case and this story in the comments below.
Yeah.
Cool.
As always, thanks for your support all this time, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.